Hello and welcome to the More Confidence with Luna Gaia podcast. I'm your host, Lunaria Gaia, and here we talk all things body image, self-esteem, your thinking in your mind. How do you connect true to you in every part of who you are? I want you to know that all of you is welcome, so sit back and relax and listen to today's episode. Sending you love. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the More Confidence with Luna Gaia podcast. This is episode 135. And on today's episode, I thought that we would go back to basics. Let's really get to the nitty-gritty of what it takes to love ourselves fully. It's what I do. I'm here on this planet to revolutionize the way that women and girls all over the world see themselves and their bodies so that we can stop holding ourselves back and actually get on with giving the world our unique talents and gifts. Can you imagine what kind of world the place would be if that was the case? Like, just for a second, stop and think. Imagine if every single woman no longer doubted herself, no longer thought that she had to worry about her floppy arms or had to worry about the size of her jeans, but she could actually just get on with loving herself and pulling out everything that's inside of her heart and getting it out into the world. I mean, it'd be great if men and women all over the world could do such a thing. What I noticed that especially when it comes to women, we limit ourselves. You know, it's actually been said and studied that men will go for jobs that they are only 60% qualified for because they think that they can learn the rest. And women will often not go for a job unless they're 110% qualified for it because they're not sure that they can do it. And so if you have a look at those statistics in and of itself, again, I've seen a beautiful meme around this, around men doing one sit-up at the gym and then like, oh, yes, I'm amazing, thinking that they have this incredible physique after one workout. And women have a half a sniff of a donut and think that they are the most pathetic, laziest piece of crap in the world. Now, look, it's not to say, and shout out to my male listeners, it's not to say that men don't experience low body image or poor confidence. Absolutely not. I'm here on a mission to help women, specifically women and girls, because I know what it was like for me. And I'm sure that my content absolutely helps the fellas out there. So shout out to my fellas. Hello there. I know I see you. I know that you're here. And if you do have any questions, queries, if you would like me to do any kind of episodes about you and your plight, I would love to hear from you. So shoot me through an email at loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au. And that's true for everyone, actually. Shoot me through an email. I love to hear from you. I love to hear how you're doing, how the podcasts are impacting you, how my work is impacting you. And if there's any specific topics that you would like me to cover, I am here for you all the way. My brothers, my sisters, my others, whoever's out there, I am here. And I love hearing from you. So shoot me through that email at loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au. Look, I passionately teach this subject because I've lived it. I've lived it not only in the sense that I have a great story to tell, but I've helped myself through the coaching, through the transformational processes that I have experienced, that not only I've experienced for myself firsthand, but I have studied in, and now I can give to others. And as a result of doing all that work over the last, let's call it 20 years. How old am I now? 38. So yeah, it's got to be close to 20 years, if not longer. I've been able to take myself from a place of deep self-hate, of eating disorders, of thinking that I wasn't enough, of not feeling worthy of love, constantly chasing enoughness through getting people to like me, pleasing, performing, perfecting, anything that I could possibly do to get someone else to like me. Please love me. That's how I lived my life. I binge drank. What would be the right word for that? I used to binge drink a lot. 4 or 5 times a week, I would get obliterated. That soon led into taking drugs every weekend as well, Thursday through to Sunday, and then also having a marijuana addiction as well throughout the week, let alone the food addiction that I experienced from like stuffing my face full of food, beating myself up on a regular basis for being overweight, for not having the body that I thought that I should, which led me ultimately to having promiscuous relationships with people where I would just end up in bed. Now, I'm not sex shaming anybody here. I just know for myself that when I was waking up in many, many different people's beds on a morning and I didn't really know who they were, I wasn't doing it because I was empowered. I was doing it because I hated myself and I wanted to feel some level of love from someone else. I'm sure many of you can relate to stories like this. But, for me in my 20s, it really was, in my teens and my 20s, it was just chasing enoughness. What do I need to do to feel good? And I thought that that was drugs and alcohol and sex and partying and pleasing other people. I thought that that would be food and losing weight and hammering myself. And it never was. I never got there, in inverted commas, whatever there happens to be. I never reached that golden goose kind of place where I felt good enough about myself. I spent all these years doubting myself, hating myself. I did everything that the world told me that I needed to do in order to feel good about myself. Get the friends, get the boyfriend, get the body, find a good career. I did the things that they told me to do, that's plastered all over the world, that tells me that if I just tick all these boxes, then I will finally feel enough. And I will get that elusive golden goose of happiness. Newsflash, didn't work, doesn't work. You tell me, did it work for you? Has it worked for you? Is it working for you? When we've spent our lifetime chasing enoughness, does it work? Do you get to the point where you go, yay, now I have finally reached enough of my goals that I can now say that I have sustainable long-term happiness? And now I feel confident, and now I'm free from the self-doubt, and now I don't have the negativity. I've never met anybody who has achieved their way to happiness, who has done enough things on the outside that they feel good enough on the inside. I've never met anybody to do that. And maybe I just haven't come across them yet. And to me, in my experience, my lived experience for myself, the thousands of people that I have worked with, as well as studying the greatest in the world, I've discovered these things. That happiness is an inside job. The confidence, that self-love, the 101 of self-love is an inside job. You don't get it by chasing outside. You don't get it by finally getting that job, buying that car. You don't get it by impressing your neighbors. You don't get it by having a partner or getting that body, or even having all the money in the world. You don't get it from any of those things. Self-love is not something that you earn externally. It is something that you grow internally, because it's love for self. It's an internal job, So for me, I feel like the biggest reason why I come on here and to share these things on this podcast, and I hope that you love it. I hope that those who listen on a regular, or if you've just joined us for the first time, I hope that these tools and tips really inspire you, but not only inspire you, but motivate you to start taking action in your own life. Because if this is just a feel-good kind of situation where you listen to the podcast for 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you feel good during that time, then you walk away and you don't take any action, I feel like we've done ourselves a disservice here. I've done you a disservice and you've done yourself a disservice, because you owe it to yourself to go in and learn how to love you properly. You owe it to yourself to have happiness. You owe it to yourself to cultivate self-love, happiness sustainably within yourself. So please, I implore you to go take action here. I'm going to give you 5 things, self-love 101 here, very basic, but the foundations. Now, whether or not you've been doing self-love for a long time or not, I want you to take your ego out of the space and pretend like you've never heard anything before. Because these are the foundations. These 5 things I come back to again and again and again and again. Because we don't expect to have a shower once a week and not stink. We have to do things repeatedly. We don't expect to just eat once a week and expect not to be hungry. We have to keep showing up to these things, these foundational things, showering, eating, using the bathroom, brushing our teeth. We do all of these things regularly because that's what actually builds the consistency of the skill and gets you the result. It's compounding. You probably brush your teeth for maybe, let's go tops, I want to say about half an hour a week. You probably brush your teeth for half an hour a week. And now that's twice a day, morning and night, for about 2.5 minutes, right? Ish. But if you just brush your teeth for half an hour on a Sunday, does it do the same thing? No, because it's the daily action that's required in order for it to build it up. It's actually doing it. It's cleaning your teeth regularly that makes the difference, not the duration of time. Consistency is more important than quantity here, my friends, and I'll tell that to you 1,000,000 times over. Consistency is more important than quantity. You show up to brushing your teeth every day for 2.5 minutes morning and night is more beneficial for your teeth and your gum health than it is to do it once a week for half an hour, even though the time is the same. The time is the same, but the consistency is what actually makes a difference here. So what are these foundations of self-love? What are these 5 things that if you implement them regularly, daily, the very least weekly, or every other day, you will actually find yourself in a beautiful, loving relationship with you? Because I know for me, it wasn't always like that. I was not in a beautiful, loving relationship with me. It was awful. Being around me, with me, was an absolute shit show. And what I absolutely love about the process of self-love is that you can mend your relationship with you so you feel awesome about being with you, that you crave your own company, that being in your own head isn't a shit show. Let's dive into it. Let me give you the things that are here. The first one here, number 1, is that you need to take control of your mind. This up here in your head, this thought patterns that you have, the negative thinking, all of those beliefs that are in your head, if you aren't control of them, what or who is? I really want you to have a good think about that. If you're not in control of your mind, what or who is? You need to be the one that's in charge. When you're not in charge, what is actually happening is that the voices of insecurity, doubt, fear are the ones that are in charge. Your parents, the media, the government, whatever you watch and consume, however you've been raised. I can give you a pretty good example of this, not knowing how you're going to answer this, but if I said to you, money doesn't grow on, most of you could answer that, right? That is an automatic program that so many of us have been raised to believe, right? Don't give up your day. There are these sayings that we have in our society that are conditioned, they are programmed, they have been embedded within us, within our mind. Think about just for a second your family environment. Was that an environment of positivity? Was it an environment of yes, you can? Was it an environment of growth, of encouragement? Were you allowed to fail? And when you failed, were you lovingly held and supported through your emotions? Probably not. Most of us weren't. I certainly weren't. So instead, we get raised in the same way that our parents were raised. They raise us the way that they got raised. And even if they made changes to their lives, even if they made differences, they actually only are getting their own projections developed and then given to you. Now, that's all well and good if their projections and their beliefs and their thoughts are working for you. I take it that, and now that you're watching and listening to a confidence podcast, that maybe that's not necessarily the case. So if that's not the case, you need to go in there and rewire those thinking. You need to go in there and change the behavioral patterns. They're not fact. Remember, your thoughts are not fact. Your beliefs are all made up. So you may as well make up beliefs that serve you. Number 1, take control of your mind. And if you don't know how to do that, watch more episodes of this podcast. I certainly go into more depths around it. I recommend, actually, I'm going to leave that. Later on, maybe number 5, I'm going to speak into how to go about changing that. Number 2 is facing our difficult emotions. None of us really like feeling fear or shame or jealousy, anger, pity, depressed, sad. There's a whole bunch of negative emotions that we don't like. And we would so much prefer to just have all the happy emotions. Joy, elation, connection, divinity, excited, encouraged, all, expressed, all those beautiful emotions. We would much prefer to have those than we would all of the negative ones that I just shared with you. Except we cannot numb our feelings selectively. You're either numbing your feelings or you're not numbing your feelings. And so if you are numbing out all the negative stuff, all the yucky stuff that you don't want to face, you are also numbing out and negative all the good stuff that you want to experience. This human life isn't meant to be just a straight line. Our heartbeat goes beep and it rises, beep and it rises, comes back down, beep, rises, comes back down. And so is the nature of life. It is up, down, up, down. It's consistently inconsistent. Yes, it goes up and down consistently. And so our emotions are the same. We are going to have these emotions that we don't like: negativity, harm, jealousy, envy, pain, disappointment, comparison. And we need to start to learn to spend more time with those negative emotions. Notice the operative word here. I didn't say in those negative emotions. I said with those negative emotions. Spend time with them. Get to understand those emotions. Say, hello, fear. How's it going? What do you have to teach me today? Rather than jumping in with fear and going, oh my God, why are we scared? Have a conversation with your fear and learn to love the parts of you that you hate. Big deal. I know you can do that. Number 3 here is you got to get to know yourself. You got to spend time with you. If you aren't hanging out in your own company, journaling, bumming around, pottering around the house, or just taking yourself out to dinners or movies, if you aren't spending quality time with you, how are you ever going to love you? You're a stranger. You need to go deep within you and get to know you. And you can do that simply by spending more time with you, alone, doing quality things. You might feel like, I already spend heaps of time alone. I don't have any friends, or I don't really spend time with anybody, or I work from home. Is the time quality? Are you taking yourself out on a date? Are you taking yourself out for a walk? Are you connecting with you? That's the important part here. Make sure you're connecting with you deeply, making the time quality, not just quantity. Again, consistency is more important than quantity there, my friends. Show up to you daily. And I recommend doing that through, it could be meditation, but maybe you just sit down with yourself for 10 minutes and say, hey, how's it going? So you seem to be a bit of a stranger. You'll notice as I go along here with our last 2 as well, that all of these are interconnected. You will get to know yourself by spending more time with your uncomfortable emotions. You will get to know yourself by being in control of your mind. And here with number 4, you will get to know yourself by treating yourself as you would a dear friend. Rather than the enemy, rather than someone you hate, rather than someone that doesn't deserve love, what would happen if just for the next 30 days or so, you treated yourself as someone you loved? Your best friend, your parents, your children. If you treated yourself with that much care and kindness, what would happen? How would your life unfold over the next 30 days if you treated yourself with that level of love? Massively. It really would. And if you do that consistently over 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 365 days, if you do that for a year for yourself, you'll soon realize that you are a magnificent being. You love yourself deeply, and you're incredible. It is a relationship, and you will need to continue constantly, consistently over your lifetime. You can't just go, yay, I had a great conversation with my partner once, and now we don't ever need to have any kind of resolution of conflict again. It doesn't work that way. You are in a relationship with you, and you got to make it the best one yet. Finally, number 5 here is invest in your personal development. I reckon I've spent a good I reckon $150,000 over the last 10 years on my personal development. I probably spend about, it depends on the year, but somewhere in the realms of $8,000 to $10,000 a year on my personal development. And I mean hiring a coach, I mean going to courses, I mean investing in books, investing in online courses, programs that I attend face-to-face. Spend your energy and your time and your money in personal development. You're here on this podcast already, so you're doing that. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money if you don't have much. But even if you have any level of disposable income and you have money to spend on Netflix or coffee or holidays, I highly recommend that you start spending some money on personal development. Look into hiring a coach. I am available. I have a wait list that's ready to go for people who are thinking about working with me as a coach. But it doesn't have to be me. Find someone that you bounce off, that you resonate with, that's in your price range, that can get you the results. Make sure you know that they can get you the results. But attend courses, go to programs, I'm running a 5-day free magnetic confidence training coming up next week, April 24th. So head to www.moreconfidence.com.au/magnetic confidence and enroll yourself in that. It's free. All you need to do is invest your time and energy. So investing in your personal development will get you a really long way. If you don't know how to connect in with your feelings, if you don't know how to deal with the mess that's in your mind, go invest in working with someone who can help you figure it out. Because every dime that I've ever spent on my personal development may not have come back financially to me, but it's come back in the richness of my life. It's come back in happiness. Every moment of my life and my day, even when it sucks, even when it's shitty, I am reminded of the tools that I have to be able to help me recognize that I can love me in this moment, even when I don't like the circumstances. So just to recap, our 5 steps to self-love 101 is 1, you've got to take control of your mind. 2, you've got to face your difficult emotions. 3, you've got to get to know yourself. 4, you need to treat yourself as you would someone that you love. And number 5, invest in your personal development. And I hope to see you at my free magnetic confidence training next week, April 24th to 28th. Go ahead and check it out. As I said, www.moreconfidence.com.au/magnetic confidence. You can enroll now. Enrollments are open for another 4 or 5 days or so. So go and check that out. I would love to have you there. Invest in you. It's the only way for you to get a return on your investment is that you've got to invest in you in the first place. Thank you so much for being here for episode 135 of the More Confidence with Luna Guy podcast. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. And as always, happy self-loving. Thank you so much for listening to the More Confidence with Luna Guy podcast. I hope you feel more confident, more self-assured, and ready to go tackle the world's problems and maybe kick ass in some of your dreams. If you haven't already, I would love for you to like and subscribe, follow, and maybe leave a review so that other people know how to find this awesome podcast too. If you're wanting to sink your teeth into something even more juicy, my #1 best-selling book, Perfectly Imperfect, Your Complete Guide to Loving Yourself and Loving Your Body, is now available on all good bookstore sites, both in print, digital, and I narrated it for Audible as well. If you think the coaching or maybe one of my courses is for you, why not head to www.moreconfidence.com.au and get in touch and see if we can talk. And of course, you can find me all across the social medias. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, which is where you're probably listening now, or maybe even here on the podcast platform. Sending you big love and wishing you a beautiful day.